Inspired by her experience in product marketing at Kimberly-Clark Corporation and fueled by her expertise in and passion for crystal clear writing, Patty Purcell launched Writing by Design in 2006 to solve an unmet need in the marketplace: concept writing. Through an opportunity to test out the new company's promise on a Depend underwear launch, Patty applied an organized methodology to building new concepts. Using recently developed proprietary tools paired with her skillful writing, Patty helped Kimberly-Clark successfully launch the hugely profitable Depend Silhouette and Real Fit products for the leader in the incontinence category. Patty worked alongside Casey's marketing, research, and insights team through the entire qualitative and quantitative journey and helped them name the two new products. Her work also led them to the successful positioning using her newly founded approach to concept writing. With the company's vision now tested and proven, it wasn't long before Writing by Design grew client by client and began earning a reputation in the CPG and food industries for its newly found niche. Today, Writing by Design provides a broad array of concept writing services as well as concept reviews for companies who choose to write their own new product concepts internally. Additionally, Writing by Design developed curriculum for its proprietary Concept College, which has been delivered in a hands-on workshop format to corporate product marketing and research teams. Participants learn concept writing best practices and develop concepts using Writing by Design's proprietary tools, all while being guided by the company's concept writing experts. Writing by Design now provides concept writing services to CPG and food companies across the US and even as far away as Saudi Arabia. Coming to you today from Appleton, Wisconsin, please welcome former CPG marketer, entrepreneur, writer, and founder of Writing by Design, Patty Purcell.
Hello, everybody from Appleton, Wisconsin. In case you don't know where that is, we're located just 30 minutes south of Green Bay that most of you are familiar with from a certain football team that resides there. And just recently got beaten by Brady and the Bucs, sadly. No NFC championship for us this year, but there's always next year. But today we're here to talk about your champions, your new products and their journey to the launch phase within your companies. We're going to hopefully challenge your way of thinking about your research and that journey this year and in the future. So let's take a look at the journey to launch. Today we want to look at your new product launch process from 36,000 feet. The process is simplified here, but the bottom line is it's an expensive parade to launch. There's a lot riding on the important work you're doing between ideation and launch. So let's pick that apart a bit. The ideation phase is first. Sometimes this is shown at the top of funnel, of course, but here we're showing it on that left-hand side. It's usually where the magic happens. Your insights and marketing research people are working hard out there to identify trends and listen to the voice of the consumer, and looping in your innovation and product engineers to come up with something really terrific to launch. You've probably paid for expensive co-creation session, days long exploring insights and trends with expensive consultants, playing with toys and pipe cleaners and colored sticky notes. At the end of it, you've probably even come out with a few hundred new ideas to seed the future of your brand. So next it's on to the research phase with some of those ideas. And here's where it gets really expensive. So many things to throw money at in this phase. You'll need just the right consumers, of course, the perfect facilitator. In the old days, a facility that was conveniently located and of course had the best munchies in the back room. Today, maybe it's an online platform, but then you still need a budget for recruiting, respondent fees, maybe some prototypes, and you don't even want to talk about how expensive it is to take your team away from work for a couple of days to participate, virtually or in person, and the time it takes for you to prep for all of it. And after all of that, you likely have to refine and repeat some of that until you get it just right. Of course, all of these things cost money, a lot of money, but how much should you spend or budget for each one? Each one is important, of course, but only one thing is around from the beginning to end. Only one thing ultimately makes it onto shelf or into homes, and that's your new product. That all started with a single idea or concept way out there in the ideation phase on the left. And only that thing can actually earn you a return on your investment. And it's the idea, the concept that eventually becomes the product with all its marketing glory and support. The concept, in fact, becomes the bridge to your in-market results. Your research takes into consideration everything you told your consumers in the concept on the left in the research phase and calculates a purchase interest score representing your in-market results on the right after you launch. Making changes to your concept after testing can break that sturdy bridge to the results you forecasted. Communicating too much or too little in the real world compared to what you communicated in research may not translate into the sales you thought it was going to translate into. How does that happen? Well, a number of ways. Let's take a look. First, you can forecast your advertising and promotion spend in research to be one thing, and by the time you launch, budgets have been cut and it's actually a different number altogether. But the second way you can misstep with your purchase intent projections is to test more communication than you ultimately launch with. For instance, if your concept uses 100 words or even more to get your new product idea across to consumers, but you launch with a 30-second ad, typically enough for 60 to 75 words, or worse yet, you use an on-pack violator with even fewer words, you have broken your ability to match purchase intent projections to your in-market results. You clearly no longer have the ability to communicate in-market what you did in your test phase. So in this case, a kitchen sink concept, where you load your concept up with everything you want to tell your consumers about it, but not in a single-minded fashion, can get you the purchase intent score you need to pass this stage or gate within your organization, but can also make it difficult to achieve the same results in market after you launch it. Let's look at an example. Here's a product that Kimberly-Clark launched in 2005, marking the end of unisex underwear in the incontinence category. The innovation behind the product improvement came down to 3 new key features: a new waistband, protection perfectly placed in the right place for women, and leg cuts that help them fit more like women's real underwear. The concept communicated all 3 of these features in great detail. So when it came time to launch, the agency wasn't quite sure how to wrap it up in a single-minded communication. They scratched their heads and put together a print ad that looked, well, almost like that. No single-minded communication here, really. It looked like a scientific drawing, not a benefit-focused communication. Today on the Depend website, we see nearly the same feature-focused, multi-point communication. It's a lot to communicate. And at the end of the day, what is it you think wearers of incontinence undergarments want to know? What is the one thing they long for more than anything in the world? You guessed it. Look at the yellow circle there. They want to wear something that fits and feels like real underwear, but will still protect them, of course. Maybe all they needed to say was fits like underwear, protects like Depend. Instead, the multi-point communication causes the consumer to have to connect the dots on why each of those features matter. It forces them to have to take it to a benefit space on their own. And quite honestly, they may never get there. Additionally, now your promotional support has to have enough space or airtime to get all 3 or 4 featured points in it as well, because that's what they tested. So what are some things you can do in 2021 to ensure your concepts are ready for prime time? To ensure that your launches will result in the sales your research is forecasting for your company? First, it might be helpful to take a historic look back at some other new product launches versus their research projections. Look at the final concepts you tested for a given product and then compare it to the advertising and retail support that product was provided. Was the language the same in the research phase as it was in the launch phase? What did the promotional support you forecasted look like versus the promotional support actually allotted to them in market? Did you spend the same amount of money you expected when you conducted your research? Or perhaps it was less support when it was launched? Did your projections always match your in-market results? If any of these variables, the language or the advertising and promotional support, were different than during your research phase, your in-market results can be different. The second thing you can do is obviously look at your concepts. They are the key to your research results after all. Are your concepts too long? Will they be similarly supported in market? If not, then you absolutely need to find a way to shorten them. If your concepts are feature heavy and nowhere in them help the consumer understand in a focused fashion why they should care, then work to tie it up to a single-minded and, dare I say, memorable benefit. The third thing you can do is to look at your internal resources to see if you have someone who can do the work noted in the tip above. Do you have someone who understands the importance of the concept in the new product launch process and who can revise your concepts accordingly to make them work harder? Do they understand there's a definite structure necessary for new product concepts to succeed? Do they know how to tie it out to your brand architecture in the process? Do they understand how to convert technical language to the voice of the consumer? Or will you need outside help doing all that? Whatever you do, just make sure that however your concept is communicated in the research phase is nearly identical to how you will talk about it when you launch it, or you will have broken your ability to accurately forecast reliable launch projections. Our last tip revolves around rethinking your research budget. If this image represents the investment your company is making in perfecting the concept, maybe it's not enough. Notice how that piece of the pie is just a sliver of your overall research budget. Maybe this even represents more than what you're currently investing, or maybe it's close. Whatever it is, make sure you're comfortable with the amount of money you're investing in the idea that is going to bring your company a return on investment by way of future sales. The moderator will come and go. The respondents will come and go. The research vendor will come and go. But only one thing remains from the time you test until the time you launch, and that's the concept or the idea for your valuable new product. It's a good time to challenge your status quo when it comes to your total research spend and how much money you allocate to each important piece of that pie. If you need help, here comes the shameless plug. Of course, Writing by Design offers this type of help, and we have for 15 years to companies just like yours. We can help you develop winning concepts for a fraction of the cost you likely spend in your overall research budgets. For $5,000, you can get professional help in developing 2 to 3 crystal clear concepts for a single new product idea. We will use our proprietary tools to build them and know what structure is needed to create concepts that you can use in the future to build your advertising and consumer promotion communications from. The second option is to get some help in training your people to write like us. If you're like many other companies, you may have someone internally responsible for your company's concept writing success. But maybe that person is a full-time market researcher or a brand marketer or even an insights professional. Maybe they don't have the right background to do the job as well as it could be done. If this describes your company, you're in luck. In March of 2021, we're taking our one-day concept college online and we'll teach participants how to use our tools and write concepts like the experts here at Writing by Design. Lastly, if you're already writing your own concepts and just want to get a read on how good that effort is going for your company, why not ask the company with 15 years of experience? For a fraction of the cost of concept development, we'll give you an outsider's opinion on how good your internal concepts are using 5 key performance criteria, and all within a 24 to 48-hour turnaround. Remember that making improvements in the quality and conciseness of your new product concepts can lead to better sales and market in the future. Whether you do that yourself or ask for our help, it's an investment that will pay itself back down the road by way of better sales. For participants on today's call, and even those watching the downloadable recording after the event, you can receive 20% off your first concept writing services now through the end of March 30th. In closing, I want to remind you that your concept is the centerpiece of your bridge from the beginning of your ideation funnel to your research phase and all the way through to your end market sales. It's important not because it's what we do, but because it represents the idea of your new product, the blood, the sweat, and the tears of your innovation process. All the other things you're going to spend your research budget on, they're important too, but only one of them is there from beginning to end, and that's the concept. It's worth taking a look at how your research budget aligns with the importance of supporting the communication of that idea from birth to launch, not just in 2021, but long into the future too. I want to thank you all for joining us today. I hope you found the information here useful and that it challenges the way you think about your research budgets in the future. And now we'd like to open up the session for Q&A. Let's see if we have some questions here. Okay, looks like we may have one question here I'm seeing. So someone's asking the question, you mentioned word count in your concept before. Is 100 words still the gold standard for a good concept? Great question. And the answer is, it depends. Again, it depends on whether or not you will have the same amount of words to communicate the new product, idea, and market. The most extreme example of where this doesn't work is in working on a new product launch that will only appear at shelf with an on-pack violator. We kind of talked about that before. On-pack violator uses very few words, so if you're translating a research budget with 100 words or more to 6 or 7 words on an on-pack violator, you're going to have a tough time creating similar results in market. If that's the case, you should consider testing snippet language, or at least something that's more closely representative of your actual in-market support for the new product launch. Hopefully that answered the question. I think I see another question here. Let me take this one. Question is, can you guarantee that a new product concept that Writing by Design writes will garner high purchase intent scores? Great question. We can guarantee that we'll give you the best chance, but we can't guarantee the actual results because a concept can fail for actually 2 reasons. One is the story isn't told correctly. That's on us. But secondly, the product idea could be a bad one and not resonate with your target consumers. We can make the idea sound as good as possible and use every tool in our 15 years of experience, everything we know about concept writing on it, but it still could be just putting lipstick on a pig. If your new product promises something in the concept during the research phase that isn't true at launch, you're going to have some trouble. I think about a product I worked on at Kimberly-Clark. It was the Kleenex Cottonelle Moist Wipes on a Roll. We launched that back in 2001. While it may have been a good idea on paper, and yes, some may agree and some may disagree, it failed in market for a couple of reasons. It may have just been too early for that idea to succeed, but it also could have been due to the product dry out that occurred with that little piece of moist wipe that was always exposed in the final format. It didn't work when it launched, and it had frustrated consumers. So there was a truth disconnect between what we tested and what actually launched. End of story. It didn't succeed in market. Let's see if there's another question. I see one more. How do the proprietary tools work, and do we get to use them if we work with Writing by Design? The tools were created to provide some scientific structure to the launch process. And we found that by following our process, we're able to actually build concepts in a logical manner that allow us to compare concepts across a particular product and look for overlap. It eliminates the duplicacy of communication crossover among concepts and helps each one be more single-minded, or as single-minded as it can be. Once our clients work with us, they can reuse the tools if they choose to develop concepts on their own. But I will tell you what we found in practice and reality is that our clients try to use them. We have one client who's actually done this. They can get the structure part, but they can't get the writing part. So we like to talk about concepts as a good blend of science and art. The tools help bring the science to the party, but you still need someone skilled in writing, and concept writing is its own beast. And I think we're pretty well trained after 15 years on kind of what words will work with consumers and how to translate some of that technical language into consumer-friendly language. So it's nice to have a team of creators thinking about how to express those technical features, and bring that to the party, even if you have the tools. So even if you have the tools, I'm not so sure that not everybody will be able to write them on their own. See if there's any other questions here. I am not seeing any. So I just want to thank everybody again for coming. If you have questions, obviously reach out. You can email us at info@writingbydesignllc.com or let's get writing at writingbydesignllc.com. Either one will get to me and we can take your questions on your new product concepts going forward. So thanks again, and everybody have a great day.